Okay, perfect. We're live. How's it going, Sean?
Fantastic. How are you doing today, Tiff?
I'm doing great. As you can see, I'm in a different space than I typically am. I'm visiting my sister in Calgary, which is kind of in the middle of Canada.
Okay. Okay. So how is that how's the weather compared to Toronto this time of year?
You know what? It's right now it's about the same. It can get colder, but they have where they're located in the mountains, they have Chinooks. So for this week, it's actually warmer. So there it might be, it really varies. So one week like I think last week was negative, it was high in the negatives, and now this week in it's like plus 10, and it's just lovely
Oh,
out. It's all
okay.
over the place. So
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So that's what we're having here in Ohio is like the first taste of spring. Someone joked to me the other day that it was the first time they'd seen their neighbors in 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, that's about right. So yeah, things are good, right? Whenever the sun's out, yeah, it's a lot, everything's better.
I know it is wild how much it affects my happiness or my mood when the sun's I'm like, "Oh, wow," just instant.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
You know. Well, I'm super excited for today. We are going to be diving into OpenAI's API. I feel like that's a bit of a tongue twister. Um, and we're going to be using REPL or REPL it. How do you pronounce it?
That's a great question. I don't have any idea. We talked earlier today and it was like, I've been using this service for on and off for 6 or 7 years. And yeah, I can't pronounce it. I don't know that I've heard it said out loud before.
I know. But the reason we're using it is because this way we can share this project very seamlessly because it is so small with it might not be worth putting up, say, on GitHub or something like that. But this way we can add the link down below for those watching afterwards, and you can fork this project and start tinkering around with it as well. So, Sean, whenever you're ready, I'll get you to share your screen.
Okay. Oh yeah, I haven't done that.
And Sean, while
Um,
you're doing that, have you played around with their API before or?
no, so I thought this would be interesting because it's something that I've wanted to do for a while and I've never done it. And so I felt like, oh yeah, I could do a little bit of research ahead of time. But instead, I thought, I'll go into this blind, like hopefully a number of folks who are watching this and then, maybe have similar questions that I might have as we're going through this process.
100%. And for myself, I've tinkered around with it, built more so in with Python than with Node, which we'll be building in today. But still very excited about it. I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's very simple and straightforward, but you feel like you're doing something really interesting. Just how getting different responses from it and whatnot. It's pretty interesting.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm excited to dig in. I am on we'll just go, why don't we call it Replit?
I
I'm
like
on
it.
Replit, my dashboard here. Let's get rid of
Perfect.
that. And I'll zoom in a bit so folks can see what's going on a little bit better. How's that?
That's great. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's start by creating a new REPL and then selecting node. We can give this project whatever name you want, or just leave it as it.
About OpenAI demo.
Perfect.
Okay. Keep it public and great. Okay.
All right, perfect. And then for some more context for this, I'll call it a project, but it's not even really that. It's more so interacting with their API. We're going to be using the model Text DaVinci 003. And I'll link it down below as well. But in their documentation, they have a few different endpoints. And within those endpoints, they have different models. One of the more common ones that I'm familiar with, anyways, I might be wrong on this, but I've been tinkering around a lot with this one, which is a completion model. So you can ask it a question and it will generate a response for you, similar to, say, ChatGPT,
Okay.
but definitely not as complex because we're just interacting with that one endpoint. So from there, let's require the OpenAI package. So const and then the curly brackets, and we'll get too specific.
Okay. I probably have to install it first, right?
You know what, Sean? Actually, with REPL, you don't need to. We can
Oh,
install tracking.
amazing.
Yeah, but if someone's following along doing this in VS Code, then of course the first step would be npm install OpenAI. But for this, we can simply do const two curly brackets. And then inside of those, we'll specifically get the configuration with a capital C. And
Okay.
then we will also get OpenAI API, camel case, but even O starts with a yes. Yep.
So is I capitalized?
Yes. Yeah.
And then API?
Yeah.
Is it
Just
like that or is it all caps?
no, that is correct. And I feel like as we are doing this, I need to go to the eye doctor because even wearing contacts, I'm still squinting. Um,
Yeah.
and we'll require OpenAI, just brackets and then OpenAI. Require perfect.
Big. Is it all
And
one word?
all one word, lowercase.
Okay. Great.
Perfect. And then from there, we will let's get our API key. So this is something that if you go now into the OpenAI page, so it's platform.openai.com. I know you created a new
I
account.
did. Yeah. I have one copied to my clipboard
Perfect.
already. Just want me to paste it in here?
So for REPL, what we're going to do is down below where it should say security. So I'm just pulling mine up as well. Secrets. Yeah, if you open that up, then
Okay.
yeah, you can input
Ah,
your key and value there.
key, and then I'll take us off screen for a sec here.
And then for those watching and following along, to get your API key, you can simply sign up to platform.openai.com. And once you make an account, under your account in the right hand top corner, there'll be a drop down and it will say My API Keys. And as a note, if you start tinkering around with this and at a certain point, if the project stops working, it's because you've used all your tokens. And at that point, you'll have to pay to continue to tinker around with it. But that problem comes further down the line, I found.
Cool. Cool.
All right, Sean.
Okay. I think I'm good to go.
Perfect. So let's use that configuration. So let's just say const configuration equals, and that will be a new configuration. And then we'll do, yeah, and then we'll do an object in there. And then that will be API key. So just camel case. And then, yes, the
Yes.
process.
An
Perfect.
API key. Okay. Is that the only property?
That's all that's required. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And then from there, let's use our OpenAI API and pass in that configuration. So let's just say const OpenAI, all lowercase, all one word, equals new OpenAI, and pass in the configuration.
Oh, and just like that.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool.
All right. And
Okay.
then now we'll be utilizing that OpenAI we just declared. So let's do OpenAI, and then once again, there's a ton of different methods that you can find in the documentation. Their documentation is really incredible how user friendly it is. So for this, though, let's use create completion, which I can see you have there.
Great.
Yeah, and then we'll make an object in there. And then there are some different properties that we'll be passing in this body. The first one is going to be the model that I was speaking about. So for this, it is in a string. So model,
Cool. Okay.
and then the value is in a string, which is text dash Da Vinci.
Did I spell that right? No, I didn't.
DAVINCI
There we go. Okay.
dash 003. And there's a few other things we're going to be passing into. The next one is prompt. So this prompt is, for now, let's just do this is where is exactly what it sounds like. It's where the prompt that we'll be giving it. So for now, let's just put in a string of what color is the sky? And, I don't know why I thought of that, but here
It's all
um,
right. I'm interested to see if it comes back with blue or not.
yeah. And then for the next one is max tokens, and I have their documentate and sorry, it's max underscore tokens. And I have their documentation up because, I'm still tinkering and learning, so I just wanted to give some insight to what that is. So, what it says here is it's the token count of your prompt plus max tokens cannot exceed the model's context length. So, when I was reading about it, so most models have a context length of 20 or 2048 tokens. And then newer ones support above 4,000 tokens. So, this as well, from my understanding, is there's a max amount of tokens that we can use for free. And then as we continue to use more tokens, that's when it comes into play of uh, we have to input our credit card. And if we're building at scale, this would be something we'd have to pay for. So understanding about the number of tokens where we're going to be using.
So is a token's not is it a character that you're feeding it, or is it, you say it's a little more complex than that?
That's a great question. I think it's more complex, but let's see here. Um, no, you are right, Sean. Tokens are, it says here, the GPT family of models processes text using tokens, which are common sequences of characters found in text.
Okay, so some sort of sequence.
Some kind of sequence. So I'm going to say hello. Give me a sec here. Um, okay. So with hello, it's 5 characters and that uses 1 token.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, and I'll link this down below too, so people can kind of tinker around. But there is something called a tokenizer on their website where you can test out how much tokens a specific amount of characters will equate to, which is interesting.
Okay, okay. And so is this max token just it's providing some sort of threshold where it's not gonna process more than that?
Correct. Yeah. And this is and to be honest, max tokens, I've always just been using 7 because that's been what's been in their documentation. So I was like, okay,
Okay.
let's see
Okay.
around with 7. It seems to work. If we're, learning on the spot and as we go. And then the other one, which we have to include, which I found really interesting as well, is temperature. So it's temperature, and we'll set it to, oh, sorry, max tokens, we have 7. Yeah, temperature we'll set to 0.
Okay. What's temperature?
Yeah. So this is what it says about temperature. When sampling temperature, use between 0 and 2. Higher values, for example, higher values like zero point 0.8 will make the output more random, while lower values like zero point 0.2 will make it more focused and deterministic. So we can play around with this as well to see if it
Hmm,
changes the response.
okay.
Um, but it's interesting, yeah. So the lower it is, for example, in this case, we're using 0, it should be more focused of a response versus if we're using, say, 2 for the temperature, the response should be more random.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see what happens.
So then let's just get that response. So we'll just use a dot then and pass in the response.
What is I have an error here. Expression
No, you see,
expected.
just zooming in on your screen. Um,
Uh,
model prompt.
mm,
Did it go away, the error?
No, let's see. Okay, so were you just gonna do something like
Yeah, pass in the response and then log out response.data dot choices. And then we'll get the first one. So bracket 0 bracket dot text.
eh,
Perfect. And then that should be
the
good. Yeah, we can do
oh,
catch
it's
an
catch
pass an error,
error.
dot message. And then
Yeah, this index failed. Did I do something? I'm like, what is,
OpenAI. Did that solve it? No.
no? Okay, let's
Let's see.
do that, for example.
Right? And then when you're running it now, it should install.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I think I accidentally hit run previously, and
mm.
I saw that happen, which was very cool, by the way.
Yeah, it is cool. It's really handy.
Okay,
Okay.
I've got something there. Alright, so the problem is in
OpenAI
this.
dot create completion, and then and that should be then an object inside of there.
So so far so good,
Okay.
and just gonna do these one at a time and see if I
Mhm,
prompt. Color is sky.
mhm. Max underscore tokens and temperature.
And I
Request.
okay.
Let's see
Oh,
here.
so I've yeah, okay, so it's really just about formatting, though.
Yeah.
It's like it's not letting me format, I don't know why, but it is running it, so that's good.
Do you want me to send you the way I have it formatted, Sean?
Sure, sure.
Just here, 1 sec. Let me
Yeah, I'm
send.
like, what is oops.
I'm
Okay, and let's go back here. Whoops.
Mhm.
Okay, and that value is the same.
Yeah.
Great. There's the sky. Everything looks good. Okay, so something goofy is going on with
Yeah.
we'll replit. And we're getting 429. Let's see. Um, let's see what's going on here. Maybe. All right, I'm gonna move this over real quick, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna pull up the secrets just to make sure I didn't screw anything up. Okay.
You know what it says? Yeah, this is weird. Okay, so it says on REPL's about this question. It says, "Too many requests. You're being blocked from accessing our API temporarily due to exceeding our rate limits frequently."
Hmm.
I feel like we haven't done
That's
that.
that's weird because yeah, I haven't that. Let's see. Open API key. Copy that. Yeah, that's the same. Okay. So I'm back here.
Mhm.
It's my console. Yeah, 429. Okay.
Sh- Should I?
Want me to try your token? See if it works.
Yeah, try my token, and then if that doesn't work, then I can share my screen because it's definitely not the code. It seems like it to be a REPL issue. Give me a sec here, and I'll give you my.
All right, I'm gonna take this off while I that. And what I'll do while you're pulling that up is I'm gonna create another secret
Mm.
that is open AI API key tip.
I just sent you key as well.
Okay, adding that.
And yeah, for those tuning in, the reason that my key might resolve this is because I've been tinkering around for a while. I caved and I input my credit card for this, so that's why I can do more requests on.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it could be a payment issue. All right, so what I changed to OpenAI API key TIFF and
Now it's
ran it again, and I have the sky is usually blue.
blue. There we go.
Okay, so maybe it's I wonder, I wonder if this is if it's tied to I have used Chat GPT before, and I wonder if it's like I hit my limit with that service and it's all to
Intertwined.
like yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could see that being the case. So yeah, I don't know. This is cool though. So I will I'll switch these so I'm not using yours after this video and then pay for it as well because I feel like I mean we'll talk about this in a minute, but so many opportunities here, right?
So many opportunities. And I know it's kind of it's like, oh, there's text on screen now. But when you think about going back to the opportunities, it's just kind of it's so fascinating the things you can do with it. And this is a pretty simple text completion model, but I was tinkering around and I was thinking of ways to use this. And we can put anything in the prompts. Right now is what color is the sky, but I was um for example, I something that when you're starting out, or even I always go back to my first job. I had to I forget what it was. We used MySQL, and I had trouble writing queries for the longest time. And something like this, didn't exist back in my day, at the time. But it's so fascinating. You can literally now prompt it to be like, uh, write a SQL query for me to select all employees, or to select all dogs, or whatever. You can get really specific with the prompts, and
Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna do it while you're talking.
yeah, and it's not perfect, as this model isn't perfect, but it's very interesting how close it is, even just in this simple example. Um, when you start thinking about how you could implement this into your own projects.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
there you go. So you right, like the okay, well maybe the casing of dogs is wrong, but you've got the structure.
Yeah.
Um, that's cool. Okay. Oh yeah, we were gonna try what is the temperature thing doing? So that if I go back to what color is the sky,
So this should
it
be more
said
random.
the well, okay. When like what is happening with those characters? That's bizarre. What's gonna happen this time?
The color, it doesn't even output it like the color.
Okay. So maybe
Yes,
for now the moral of the story is just use 0.
just use 0.
I mean,
Try
that
1.
is that is interesting. I'm curious what is
Typic
this? What's a use case for not using 0? Don't you want
Yeah,
answers
why
to
would
be
you
more
not?
sky is usually blue. Okay.
And then
Well,
what's it was typically blue. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So you can prompt it for this specific model, you can prompt it, to really complete any question or prompt that you give it. But like I said, there's many different endpoints in their documentation, and they also have a playground where you can play around with different examples, and then also too they have I think like 20 plus examples of different things to do. Like one was which was kind of fun, which was um, I forget how it was worded, but it's like share with me the color of my mood if I'm angry. So then it generates, the color of your mood, like just different fun things like that. But when you start thinking about how this could be implemented, it's pretty cool.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I see the use of this, and so yeah, we were talking the other day at Stackbit about some potential future uses of it, and curious what's your take? How do you think we could use it at Stackbit, or what about for you in I don't know side projects or making videos or what else? Where's your potential for this?
I think in terms of Stackbit, it could definitely, because Stackbit is so flexible, it could definitely be used with Stackbit to do something to build alongside. So meaning, in our visual editor, it could be something where we can choose different colors, or really customize what's in your visual editor. We could customize as well, maybe having prompts that a content editor could come in and say they want, a component that looks like, I don't know, something, whatever your imagination has, and then it generates that code for you on the back end, and then the front end it displays the what that component would look like. I think that would be really interesting with StackBit. And then for my personal projects and personal activities, this not only this, but I think ChatGPT as well. They both have really sparked, and I've heard this from others as well. They both have really sparked this kind of playful creativity uh, side of me that I feel like I can build quicker, and it's not perfect, but I can build quicker, and things that I wouldn't necessarily might take me a few hours to build, I can prompt ChatGPT, for example, to help me build, and then build on top of that with my own knowledge. So it's just kind of sparked a lot of fun and creative thoughts or ideas for me. What about yourself, though, for both of those?
Yeah, interesting. So, okay, because you can. So we added a prompt here, but you can also, can you feed it more direct information that you want it to use? Like, um, an example would be, I can think of a couple of examples at StackBit. One of them would be, um, feed it all of our documentation, and then ask it how to do some specific task, which would, one, test the documentation, which could be kind of interesting, and two, also potentially help customers figure out, or StackBit users figure out, how to solve a particular problem with StackBit, because StackBit is becoming more and more open and flexible, and it's really more of a platform that you can bend and shape to your particular site, stack, preferences, all of that. And so a lot of the instruction that we give is more, very, we show some examples, but the documentation is moving more toward really just documenting the project and the flexibility within the project.
Mhm.
And so it seems like it could be really interesting to feed that information um, to OpenAI, and then have somebody prompt with the thing that they are trying to do within the context of their site, and maybe it solves that a little bit easier. One example might be, um, we have this process for when you have the preview of your site running, and you can highlight, you can hover over individual items, highlight them, and change them in line. So I have a heading on a blog post, I can highlight it, click in it, change the text, and then it immediately saves it back to the content source. That happens through this process called annotations, which is adding data attributes to your to your components and the elements within those components. And you need to know something about the structure of the content to be able to do it. And it tends to be one of the last things that people do with StackBit, because it's once you get going, it's not that hard, but it takes a minute to wrap your head around how all of it works and all of that. And I could just imagine, all right, feed OpenAI the StackBit documentation, and then give it the context of your site, like probably give it access to your code, and say, I want to make my hero heading visually editable in line. What do I have to do? And have it tell you exactly what to do and where to do it. And that's something that right now we basically we're giving folks the tools to be able to figure that out. But for really complex websites, a lot of it is just sitting with people who are writing that code and helping them navigate their site and figure out exactly how to set up these annotations. And that could be a really cool way for people to move faster, and also at the same time help StackBit, focus on adding new features and strengthening existing features, um, rather than having to flex to all of these various use cases.
I love that. That is such a great creative idea or use case of using this. And even Sean, too, you mentioning around annotations, it kind of prompted me. And I don't know. I have to try this. Now I want to try this. Have you played around with um, GitHub's Copilot?
Yeah, actually, that is one that I paid for, and um, I've it's like I have felt weird a little bit about the some of the history there,
Mhm.
but setting that aside, the power of the thing is amazing, and it helps. Well, I'll just say yes. I have anecdotes, but yes.
No, I was just gonna say, as all history and all of that aside, I don't know if this would work or not, but because they use OpenAI's GPT-4 now, I guess I believe it is. Um, it'd be interesting if you could do something where you prompt it to say at the parent level, or for all the for I don't know what the prompt would be, but something around what you kind of were saying earlier, where it be for all of the components, add in the uh, pass in or add in the data dash SB dash field dash path kind of thing, and then it would automatically add it into all your components. I think that would introduce a lot of problems potentially,
Mm, mhm.
but it's interesting that we are able to start thinking this way.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think for personal use, I don't really know. I need to think about this a little bit because I've spent some time with AI, but most of what I do on the side, it's either code, like little side freelance projects, or it's writing blog posts and creating videos.
Mhm.
And so I think that like you, I feel like I could use it as inspiration to create new content. But I've played up till now with AI, specifically with Copilot, and also with things like Notion AI and other writing tools to be able to write blog posts, and I get varying levels of success with both. I think that the marketing is great around all of them, but when it comes down to it, I'm using less than half of the suggestions that I get,
Yeah.
but using it is valuable. So it seems all right. So I don't know. I'm going to play around with this more. With this open kind of approach and being able to essentially do whatever we want. I feel like there's a benefit here
Yeah.
somewhere for something, whether it's building some internal tool to help me with the content creation process. I'm not totally sure, but I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to start where you are and start making some videos and blog posts specifically about this and about doing some other fun, creative things with it, and see if that prompts some sort of spark on something that I can actually use to make my processes and the things I like to do a little bit easier.
I like that. Yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, it's extremely far from perfect, and the marketing around it is great, but if it if it sparks some creativity to build some interesting things, I think then that's a win.
For sure. For sure.
Well, Sean, this has been awesome. I'm excited to see and catch up with you next week. And then as you are building, or as we are building and finding new ways to use this technology, I'll update the description throughout as we if we have any projects that we do with this, or if anyone does any projects with this, leave down in the comments. And I'll see you next week.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great, Tiff. And I'll send this. I'll send this Replit URL to you so that you can add that and share that with this video.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
All right. Bye, Tiff.
Bye.